we live? Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies, the live video podcast for people who love to talk about movies as much as they love watching them. That's right, folks. We've got another great show for you tonight. Let's let me take a look at my show notes. Of course, we're going to be overanalyzing the indie darling, the Canadian indie darling of 2023, Chandler Levac's I Like Movies. But at first, I need to welcome some new subscribers. So let me bring that up. Let me get that view going. All right. First, let us welcome, and folks, I'm welcoming the people that I know they're public in their subscription. Okay. And that's first, Colleen Glanville. Welcome, Colleen. Then of course we have, and I apologize, Mr. Eusebius, if I mispronounce your first name, but Kavura Eusebius. Also welcome. Huzzah! Okay, who else do we got here? We also have, okay, now I really am going to screw up this pronunciation. Story of Mr. Katengele, Pendange Katengele. I am so sorry I'm screwing that up, but welcome. Really appreciate you signing up, joining. One of the best tiny little channels out there in the YouTube world. All right. Next, we've got Rudy Septian. Welcome, Rudy. Another horn for you. And then last but certainly not least, Juan Luis Gonzalez. And I do hope I pronounced that correctly, Juan Luis. All right, everybody. That's out of the way. Now, where am I? Ah, yes. Okay. Folks, I think it's time to let me introduce you to the man of the hour, my co-host with the most, the pierogi prince of Winnipeg, Mr. Jim Chaboyko.
That's me. C'est moi. No. I'm even wearing my St. Javelin shirt on today, so that's patron saint of guided missiles, but yeah.
Why is it not pointed at Elon Musk, eh? Oh, that's right, because he apparently controls where the Ukrainian National Defense Force is allowed to point those things now.
Yeah.
It's like, Jim, giving over that kind of power to a private individual is maybe not a bad idea, or maybe not a good idea.
Yeah. Just, humans can be flaky sometimes, but, not if you're rich. That's, as everyone knows.
Listen, Jim, I know you just got back from New York City.
Hey.
And so I really hope that you will be dropping in those little, when I was in New York, it made me think of.
Yeah. I was wondering if I should bring that up.
What is this? What is the highlight that comes to mind right now, though, before we get into the show?
Well, because this is a movie podcast / live stream, I managed to get tickets for my daughter and I to see The Shark is Broken, which is the play about the making of Jaws. It's a three-hander. And the three characters are the three actors who were in Jaws.
And that was done by Shaw's kid, right?
Ian Shaw plays his own father, Robert Shaw, who played Quint in the movie. And he doesn't shy away from the alcoholism and the sort of the regrets and that sort of thing. And
leaning into some of the harder
Yeah, and boy, there's a couple times on stage where they develop full characters, so it does, in my opinion, veer away from impressions of these characters. But there's a period where he's still. He's just sort of sitting in one of the chairs. The set is the Orca, basically the boat that they chase the shark down in, and he just the some of the sort of vocal inflections and the appearance, it's chilling. And then the guy who did Dreyfus did a really good sort of a Dreyfus thing, and he was always sort of pushing his glasses up, a la Dreyfus, Matt Hooper in the movie. And the Roy Scheider guy was Colin Donnell, was good as well. And I got autographs at the end. My daughter put up with my stage dooring.
Of course.
So they saw my playbill. I'm like, do I need a pen? And she was like, Dad, they bring their own pens. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna go buy a pen. Sure enough, they came out with their own pens. So, but it was a great play. The New Yorker Review intimated it was a little bit derivative, but I was thinking about it the rest of the week. There's some really great lines, a lot of pop culture references to the 70s, the taking of Pelham 123, the French Connection, a bunch of movies and things like that. Roy Scheider says, "Why am I always playing cops?" And the apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. It was great.
Fantastic. All right, Jim, before we get into our flick tonight, I would love to. I think we need to dive into the mailbag. Plus,
Okay.
oh, apparently you're pressing button there, Mr. Cheboyko.
I didn't.
No, we're good now. Anyway, yeah, I want to. We've got Jim. We've got mailbag stuff.
So I heard.
And I also wanted to chat with you about the film marketing scandal du jour, if I might. So let's jump into that. First, the mailbag. So, of course, Jim, you may have seen, whoops, our numbers for Hyena Road have once again blown up. Because of course they have. But here, Jim, I don't even have you on screen. That's terrible. There we are.
And I'm not muted either, am I?
You are not muted.
Good.
Okay. So anyway, our numbers, we had a spurt on what is now our most successful film, our most successful video to date. Streamed over a year ago, now coming in at 46,000 views, which for us is
153
amazing.
likes. Yeah.
It just never ends. But we got a couple of, amongst new views, new subscribers, we did get a couple of comments. And we're not talking about DMG's comment a year ago. I'm going to highlight, first of all, and you know what, from Kudzai, his comment is, WTF is this now? And then another comment is, TF ain't y'all doing? Which I really think is just a way of saying I hate what you're doing. Anyway, now that said, I did look into the analytics of it all, Jim. And part of this may be that it was coming up on search because this was back when we were going, we were always diving deep. Hour and 51 minutes we rambled on about this 2-hour flick. So you see where I'm going here. The search criteria, Jim, for this film was Hyena Road, Hyena Road full length, Hyena Road full length dubs.
That's clever on our part.
Well, but the thing is, everything I was doing at the time was to discourage that. And yet YouTube was like, I guess another year later, it's like, here it is. So I think that's where it's coming from. But what is our response to Kudzai and user-QG6ET1SO8X?
Thanks for watching. I wonder if they. I wonder if they're related to that guy that dropped in last time, the last live stream we did in August. There.
Yes.
About as coherent, but
Yeah.
anyhow.
I do have
funny.
another there's something else from the mailbag, Jim. We got more mailbag. I did want to highlight, of course, while you were gone, Mr. Chaboyko, both I and our good friend DMG, who I believe is in the chat, did a deep dive into Gran Turismo. And from that, I was able to cut a see it or skip it. Then Walt65, Walt's Flicks Picks, chimed in on, wanted to add some movies, because both DMG, we both agreed, and yet we still managed to argue about our agreement on this flick. We were both like, there are better racing movies to watch. And because it's DMG and I think we could both we could both agree that the sun's out and the sky's blue, and disagree on why that is. Anyway, back to this. I did want to draw everyone's attention, and I will put a link in the description or maybe in a pinned comment, but Vlad had some great suggestions on other great racing movies. They're just, it's worth checking out. And then, and of course, who doesn't like a couple of grown men going back and forth about Niki Lauda from, of course, Race or Rush. Race. What the hell am I talking about? That's I think that's all I have to say about Gran Turismo, Jim.
Wasn't there a correction? Did we get something in the correction bag?
You know what, Jim? You're absolute. I almost forgot. Thank you very much for reminding me. Yes, when DMG and I did our deep dive, I may have crapped all over DMG when he was talking about how it was the guy the movie's about was actually in a reality show. And although they see kind of a sort of what I thought was more of a training montage on how to deal with the video, it was actually a reference to which is why it's just, Jim, it was Gran Turismo is such a terrible film. But anyway, the guy was like in the third season of this blink and you'll miss it reality show. And which meant that this is a forgettable film about a forgettable reality show. Like, it's all just so lame. But yes, I do owe DMG an apology for that because, I crapped all over it. And then, of course, I was reading afterwards, well, I stand corrected. Thanks for the save on that one there, folks. And yes, I will put a link in the notes to the See It or Skip It, or the deep dive if you really want to see two grown ass men argue about how much they disliked this movie.
It's like oil and oil, and a different kind of oil.
Good one. All right, Jim, I think it's time to get back to let's get back to the flick at hand. That would be I Like Movies. Here is the log line, Mr. Chaboyko, from IMDb. Lawrence Queller, a socially inept 17-year-old cinephile, gets a job at a video store where he forms a complicated friendship with his older female manager. And Jim, I'm going to say that's a solid log line.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a quick rundown of who's who in front of and behind the camera, if you wouldn't mind?
All right, so we got Chandler Levac is the writer and director of this film here, and we've actually had the chance to speak with her, so that was pretty cool. It stars. Sorry, I just had that up, and now it's gone. In the lead is Isaiah Lettinen as Lawrence. We have Romina De Ugo, and probably mispronouncing that, as Alana, the video store manager. His mom is played by Krista Bridges. We have Percy Hines White as Matt, his friend. A lot of people from Canadian TV, if you watch it. Andy McQueen as a coworker. Rodrigo Fernandez Stoll, who you've seen all over the place.
Yeah.
Kim's Convenience commercials, that sort of thing. And even one of the neatest parts here, Tanner Zipchen, who for Canadian moviegoers, he was the guy that used to host the Welcome to Cineplex, the little sort of pre-feature chatty thing when you get into the movie theater early. And he was fired pretty quickly by Cineplex, almost without notice. And so there was a little bit of a scandal on that. Anyway, he plays a guy who's trying to pick up Alana in the video store one day. It was a fairly small role, but it's nice to see Tanner land on his feet again. But yeah, it was like, "Hi, I'm Tanner Zipchen. Welcome to the movies." You know, that kind of thing. So
I remember that.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, we already did, and this is already in the description, but I'll put a link somewhere up here. Maybe that's what I'll do with the other one too. But we already did a See It or Skip It way back in March when, it was working the kind of art house circuit. We did get to see this flick, and we did a See It or Skip It the night of, like right after. So why don't we, if it's all right with you, let's jump into the spoiler zone.
Certainly.
All right. Let me ask this right now. Now that it's been several months, I'm assuming you rewatched it on Netflix.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you find how can I put this? Did you find that it had changed in any way for you, or?
You know, I think what it did for me is that I ended up appreciating it a little bit more. Actually, it's quite a subtle movie in a lot of ways. It's kind of there's some drama and some people that sort of react wildly to things, but it at its heart, I think it's a pretty subtle thing. Cinematic work. I really liked it. I appreciated the Alana character. I appreciated the mum a little bit more. Good, strong female characters. And I really like the transitions. It was sort of the music didn't hit you over the head. It was sort of a gentle transition from scene to scene. And that was important, especially because it's about someone who's just like roiling inside and is not in a good place and hasn't been for a while. So speaking of our lead character here. I actually think I appreciated it more. This time I found it just as funny and just as fresh. I think enough time has passed, 6 months or whatever, that it deserved to watch again. And that's an important point, Rob, is that it's on Netflix now, and you can watch a good Canadian movie, in my opinion, on Netflix.
A very good Canadian film.
Very good, yeah.
And Jim, I would. There's a couple of things rewatching it. I was like, first of all, although I disagree, we saw the pull quote, Sarah Pauli going, "This will make you like movies." I'm like, I don't think it will. I actually, I was kind of a smart aleck about the film in a couple of places, but or it's not about movies. It really is, or even more now. It's, and I don't mean this as a criticism of it. It's, you watch this movie, you're not coming away with a deeper understanding of film. It's not like The Fabelmans, where you kind of go, wow, I'm really getting a one artist's take on the film and how to tell a story and how that person becomes a storyteller. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing, like we've seen some very pleasant films this year, but this reminded me that we also saw something deeply personal and vulnerable, like a filmmaker being vulnerable. Like Ms. Levac said it in the Q&A afterwards. It's super autobiographical. I would even go so far as to say it's a biopic, you know. Again, I keep comparing it to The Fabelmans, and in the best ways. It is somebody really saying, yeah, this is my fictional take on how I grew up and what I was like when I was a kid. And, you know.
Yeah, and I had written down just it's a great low key. Yeah, I'd say it's low key in that it's not sort of in your face with the drama, but it's a great low key character study. And it's a comedy or a dramedy, but the comedy aspects of it work in the best way that comedy works is through the characters, not through set pieces or, you know, the banana peel sequence or whatever. It's actually character based. There's one point, I was just watching it again, and just the subtle little laughs you get out of it is that Alana's about to tell him the story about why she hates movies, and she says, well, you know, it's a long and complicated story, and so they cut to Lawrence, and Lawrence starts to sit cross-legged on the floor, and she goes,
I've got the poster on our overlay, yeah.
He goes, oh, I didn't realize we were doing that, okay. And then she just sort of, she feels compelled to tell the story of her experience in making movies herself.
And what was a killer is that it's framed like she's between two racks of movies.
Yes, yeah.
Like in a proscenium arch. And she kind of goes back and forth like a theater monologue, a soliloquy. I agree with you. There's some great little moments. And also, while she's bearing out her heart and soul, you also see Lawrence's struggle with, oh, wow. Like, even as it gets deeper, he's like, kind of, oh, this is real. Well, at the same time, kind of still not getting it.
Yeah.
You know, not getting just how much she is exposing of herself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's a pretty fascinating just the workplace relationship between all of them. When you look at it, there's not that many characters, but it's interesting definitely how they're, and it feels real too. It feels like I believe it. You know, I buy it. Just lots of, like you're saying, lots of great little moment. I don't mean that in a condescending way, but a lot of great moments in the movie. And they're all sort of come from the characters, right? So, yeah. But
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I really like the use of music. I like the fact that it was sort of set in Burlington. We see a lot of this one video store and a lot of
very 90s Canadian suburb.
Yeah.
Well, 90s Golden Horseshoe Canadian suburb.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of, they literally walk, by highway
And not the home
overpasses
of the
and stuff like
Burlington Coat Factory.
that. Yes, no. Were you heading Brian off at the pass there? But
No, it looks like we lost him.
oh
I'm
no.
a little shocked. He didn't even stick around to hear my correction.
Okay.
Back to Burlington, though, and how committed this film is to be of a place and time.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say... I've seen a couple of Canadian films. I would call Women Talking a Canadian film.
Yeah.
But would you, Blackberry, also in the
Yeah.
Golden Horseshoe. But I'm thinking Women Talking. I would say this is more, I don't know. It's all three of those films are a piece of the Canadian experience.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
You think I'm?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Does it remind? It reminded me of growing up in the 80s. Even I know it's a few years later, like it is a decade later, but
Yeah, in that it's definitely got a ring of the past. Not everyone's got cell phones, for instance. They talk about, it's funny with the Jimmy Fallon scandal. Him and his friend Matt, Lawrence and Matt traditionally they watch Saturday Night Live on Saturday, and they're watching the credits, and Jimmy Fallon, not that funny. So it's just kind of good timing with what went down this week with the Rolling Stone expose. But mention a little harder, I think.
Well, yeah, according to, but you're getting something from me, aren't you? Tell me you are.
I can hear you
Yeah,
loud and clear.
right.
I don't see you, but
Sorry about
there's no
that, folks.
picture, but I can hear
It's
you.
the streaming is not coming through well, but if we have to, I am recording this at home. I can always re-upload. All right, folks. Actually, Jim, I wanted to go back to what you were saying earlier about these scandals and Ashley McIsaac, and because we did not, and we will before we wrap this up. We do have to talk about that Vulture piece about reviews, and we can do that near the end. But Jim, if you thought the Rolling Stone piece was bad, do not read this book. Burn It Down, Power, Complicity, and a Call for Change in Hollywood. I am, and it is, every now and then I have to stop listening to it. Like I picked up the audiobook version, and it's every toxic employer you've ever had compounded by film. And it reminds me, and when I was in the film industry, I was, if we're on like a far shore, way at the edge, like, maybe not There Be Dragons, but just before some Pacific Island atoll, on a map, used by the industry, but at the same time, but even my experience there, and it just, it's everything. I'm like, that's legit. That's true.
That checks, yeah.
Yeah, that checks, yeah. Which also is like either this, our character, our lead here, Lawrence, he either does very well in that environment or he's destroyed by it,
Yeah.
But
No, that's a good point.
coming back to this flick, what do you think Chandler's saying about growing up, saying about herself? Is she actually saying anything about film, the medium?
I think, it's funny, and I was thinking about this earlier. There's a little bit of parallelism in this. The title is I Like Movies. Lawrence actually says the line, I like movies. Alana says, I hate movies. So it's a little bit of a built-in rhythm in the script. And just that simple. I like movies, I hate movies. And it's a nice bit of sort of, like I said, parallelism. And I was wondering why it wasn't "I love movies" or "I live for movies." He says when he's being interviewed for the job, I think he says something to the effect of, "I need to watch a movie every day, or I feel like I'm going to die," or something super dramatic. And I sort of wonder if it's being a character study, that I wonder if this is how, like, the life raft that he clings to, because he, again, not in a great spot. His father committed suicide a few years before, um, and he's a little bit isolated. He doesn't have, he's got one good friend, and that's sort of falling apart. So, and he's a bit of a narcissist at this point as well, so that doesn't help things either. But yeah, I sort of wonder if it's the thing that he clings to rather than, it's his way of self-identification. I'm a movie guy, ergo I'm going to be in movies when I get older, and this is the way that this is the path that I'm gonna take to get there, and it's got to be through NYU.
Yeah.
And his obsession with that is kind of funny as well.
And it's also like one of the subplots, probably the main subplot, is this got to make this project for the school.
Yes.
And how eventually he gets fired from his own project. His friend starts dating this girl who actually does have some ideas and can, it's like the bonding company, the insurance company that is paid to make sure that the movie gets done no matter what. It's like the bonding company came in and, all right, you're fired. We got a guy who'll get this thing out the door so that a movie is delivered to the producer.
Yeah.
So I guess you do learn a bit about film, but he's kicked out of his own project because of who he is, his inability to, in a way, communicate with others, understand others. He's forever. It's like he has this weird, false idea of what an artist is. Kind of a pop culture idea of this. He's an obsessive, and he must be right and everything. Does that make sense? Does that jive with your reading of the film?
Yeah, it's all part of the sort of his defense, I think, is that if nothing else, he knows the hell out of film. It's just,
and therefore his opinions about it are
sacrosanct. Yeah.
Thank you. Which is interesting. Like, I still can't get over it. And get over it, maybe that's a little much, little harsh. No, I'm still thinking about it. One of my most important takeaways from the Q&A was when I asked the director, it's like, hey, what has your opinion about films changed since you were a kid? Because now she's a grown-ass woman in her 30s.
Yep.
Has been a how does she put it on her Twitter feed? I think it's a sometime movie critic for the Globe and Mail, but she has paid bills doing film criticism here in Canada. And how did she put it? She's like, yeah, I needed to get this movie out of me. It was like her cross to bear or something. Like she had to get the Sisyphean rock up the hill or something like that. But I remember when I asked her that, she said something to the effect of, no, nothing's changed. I was so shocked by it. I asked again because I thought maybe I wasn't articulating my question well enough. It's just like, nope, Kubrick, etc. It's like, and I'm still like, kind of like, wow, you really are Lawrence. This is...
Yeah.
Of course, the snide comment, and believe me, I'm coming to a question here, Jim, honest to God.
Sure.
Of course, part of me is like, oh, Kubrick, that's easy. I'll pick the canon, and therefore my opinion doesn't have to change. While at the same time, as we're learning things about Kubrick and the way he made film, you know what? You got to put an asterisk by him. But then does that mean it's like a weird Eurobruce here where now I'm the opinionated critic, unwilling to let this, go.
Yeah.
Jim,
Is it-
what do you think about all that?
She's she's loyal. I'll give her that. And there's a lot of it's funny. There's
Wait,
a
loyal?
type out
Like
there.
loyal to your past
Loyal-
self?
Yeah, loyal to
yeah,
her own likes, and if it's like having favorite bands at 17 and not changing them ever. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's funny though that I know people that are they're totally devoted. There's certain things that they like, and then you hear about something coming out, and you think, oh, they're probably gonna like that, and they do, and so it just it's funny if you looked into at one point Lawrence and his mom Terry go into the video store to rent one movie, and Lawrence comes up with 10, and he and she says, no, you're renting one, and you get to read them, and I forget the one that he keeps is Buffalo 66 of all things, and I'm like, yeah, that checks. That's probably like Chloe Sevigny, and
Yeah.
what have you. It makes sense to me. But I read saw the other titles. I'm like, yep. No surprises there.
I can think of a few people,
Yeah.
and I suspect one of them we're both thinking of right now.
Yes.
And not Ms. Levac.
No. But suddenly that what was it, the Belgian film that's everyone's favorite replacement for Citizen Kane is on people's lists. It's like, really, have you watched that? I've never heard about it before. 5
Or
years
I've
ago.
never heard you talking about it before.
Yes,
and it's been
exactly,
out for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Lawrence would like it though.
Yeah, Lawrence would. Now, I was being cute when we did our See It or Skip It, link above. But I want to come back to this. If The Fabelmans is the story about the birth of a filmmaker and a storyteller, in some ways, this is about the birth of a film critic. What do you think Levac is saying about that? Or is she saying anything about film criticism? Like, because when I think about this movie, I think about high fidelity. These obsessives that, become really like almost gatekeepery.
Yeah. I guess.
And it doesn't. I'm curious. Like, am I missing a layer here?
I don't know. I mean, if you follow her path, I mean, she eventually made her own movie, and she did it, after hustling and freelancing, which I've done for magazines myself, but which is not the easiest thing in the world.
It is not.
But it's fun
as a gig worker.
Yeah,
it
can be rewarding, but I don't. Lawrence is obsessed with going to New York and studying there, so he can study with Jeff Salons and learn how to shoot on 16 millimeter, et cetera, et cetera.
It is all those things that a young wannabe.
Check.
Yeah.
It's the box ticking that he's sort of
the master class view of filmmaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this appears not to be his way. I don't think the movie says either way, what he's going to do, but I think the dedication is one thing, the path is another, and I sort of suspect I probably Ms. Levac's, journey to getting this movie made probably didn't take the exact route that she thought.
Yeah.
But she did get it made, and it,
And she wrote it to budget.
yeah, yeah.
Like it should. And you do need to be kind of a maniac to make a movie.
Oh, absolutely.
And I shouldn't. That is not to justify bad behavior.
Just a quick tangent. In the Beaverton had an article, and so Lawrence, spoiler alert, as we said, gets accepted to Carleton University. He gets a bursary for $10,000. So the Beaverton had an article, which is sort of like a Canadian
I'm looking it up.
onion, and it said. Incoming first-year students excited to pretend Carleton University was their first choice. And the quote is, the pull quote is, I just think that like McGill and U of T and UBC are so overdone. But anyway, a little bit of and because, he gets accepted to Carleton, I thought it was, yeah, there you go. I thought it was worth bringing attention to. It just sort of
Oh my goodness.
timed out right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's, of course, all the advertisements.
That's the hard, the one thing about the Beaverton that's kind of hard to read sometimes, just with all the...
Justin Trudeau and 10 other Marxists you should know.
It's good. It's like the Onion for us.
Canadian Onion, and well done. Another one is the Daily Bonnet. If you're into Mennonite focused Canadian Menno humor.
Hey Frank.
So where I heard of it from.
Yeah.
Coming back to Lawrence here. Another thing it seems is like, is Lawrence on the spectrum? They kind of, I don't know. You got to give us. I was okay with her feel good end. Mm-hmm. Although she could have had a darker ending, and I would have been fine with that too.
Yeah.
But I think some of it seems to be almost where Alana actually says, here, never mind trying to solve your problems. Here's how to make friends, and a very specific kind of programmed steps. It's like, let's not figure out the why. Let's just focus on the behaviors that will have you have more human connection. Because I think part of the character's problem is that he has no human connections. And that's part of his upset and his, all his behavior. But I'm also thinking it's like, this Lawrence on the autism spectrum, of course, I think Ms. Levac alludes to that in some writing around the film. I'll have to double check. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to double check that. But it's certainly, some of it's like, that's right out of therapy, when Alana says, all right, this is, okay, never mind this. This is how you make a friend. You're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this. And he does it, and he gets positive results. It's like a little cognitive behavioral therapy session in a fast food joint. But other than that, and he does apologize to his friend. Mm-hmm. He makes up with his former best friend. But do you actually think, did Lawrence actually grow? Like, is he that much different by the end of this film? And not necessarily that we need that. Like, I still think about this film months later.
Well,
it'll probably make my list for this year.
Yeah. That's the thing that I was wondering, and I was going to ask you about actually too, is that we're told, or I think Alana at one point is angry with him and says, "You're a narcissist." And I think, well, that's one thing. It's hard to break out of narcissism if a person's truly narcissistic. At the same time, he's 17 years old, and I can remember being that age and sort of, being kind of a miserable teenager, and then one spring just sort of coming out of it, and not that it was all sort of depression or whatever, but you're just kind of not in a great place, and then spring hits, and you're like, the world's pretty cool, so in this case, I was sort of wondering, like, can people change? Can he be redeemed? He certainly, whether or not he's on the spectrum, I'm not sure. There are people that find out how to act like others. In an extreme example, the show Dexter, for instance, where the serial killer hunts serial killers, but is able to present himself as a normal person. Again, an extreme example, but is this what Lawrence is doing? Is he just sort of not going through the motions? I mean, he's genuinely interested in it, but he's taken these steps. Earlier in the movie, he says some pretty horrible things. He doesn't appear to have a shield, and at the same time,
and a terrible friend.
Terrible to his friend.
I cheered in the theater, if you may remember, when he finally got somebody called him out on his shit. Whoop! I should have. Sorry, bull.
There you go. He's horrible to his mom. So he says bad things, but at the same time, there's a couple instances in the movie where he just drops all his guard and he just says, "How do you do this?" Or "How do you become friends with people?"
Well, that's the moment he has with Alana, right? Like that's like I mean it. That was like a CBT, a cognitive behavioral therapy session. Mm-hmm. We're going to focus on behaviors, and that is a legitimate form of therapy. It's like, listen, trying to remember some classes, like you've got the catharsis, which is a lot of films' treatment of psychological problems.
Yeah.
We'll find out the root cause, and you'll have this cathartic moment, very not Jungian, but Freudian. Mm-hmm. And it really fits film well, right?
Yeah.
The current thinking is it's like, well, it really doesn't matter what caused it. Mm-hmm. Right now, you've developed a bundle of habits that ensure, even though you want human connection and you want friendships and you want to be part of the larger world, you've got all these terrible habits that are making sure you never will. So you keep acting out. So and on and on and on, which I think is, that is Lawrence. And so at the end there where Alana's like, here, this is what you need to do. Because for whatever reason, Alana, even though I could see her, just saying, get away from me, you nasty little piece of work, takes a moment and goes, he's still just a boy, and maybe I can help set him up for a bit more success, especially as going to university is such a great reset moment. You dump all that high school stuff. It's like, I don't know those people. Nobody here knows high school Rob or Jim or Lawrence. And so all of a sudden he's able to experiment and we see these positive results. But Jim,
he puts the Steel Magnolias poster up and he immediately gets a response.
Which is that's a solid flick. Jim, we do have to quick shout out. There we have a couple of folks in the chat. Jelly Duck 100, who brought up Be Kind Rewind. Yes, and I think Be Kind Rewind is more about movies, but that reminded me, and I've got to put a pin on this, because we also have DMG in the chat, back in the chat, wondering if Alfonso Ribeiro was the dean of Carleton University. Oh, DMG.
You know, if he ever came up here, he would just never stop. He'd be like, "Hey, hey, boo, boo, boo." We have homogenized milk here, and it's abbreviated as homo milk. And I had an American friend come up. I don't. Do they still do that? They must. Anyway, he came up and he went, "Oh my god," and went off about it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, slight tangent.
Okay. Coming back to Jelly Duck 100, talking about Be Kind, Rewind.
Mm-hmm.
That is another thing that I wonder if this movie is, and I don't think we talked about it enough maybe in our See It or Skip It. Mind you, short period of time, we'd just seen the film. But this seems to be also an homage, not just to a specific time in history when, you know, video stores ruled the land.
Yeah.
Or even as they were kind of going, they not even ruled the land. They were all of a sudden, they're becoming that dinosaur as snows. Hey, is that a comet coming? But it is that first time that all of a sudden all these films that they're talked about, like how we experience film differently. You know, less and less people, you and I have talked about this before, less and less people are going to the theater. But here in I Like Movies, you're seeing kind of that first generation that learns about all these movies at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you're binging it or you're seeing one by one. But I bet you most, and if memory serves, I think it was James Gunn who, as part of that ridiculous debate that was going on, you know, are superhero movies cinema, or, you know, is Netflix movies really movies? You know, like these nonsense debates. But he made a great analysis, a great comment. And how did he put it? He says, listen, it doesn't really matter what you say about those are great cinema and those are great theatrical films and. Most people know these movies through video. They know them, whether it be VHS or DVDs, and then streaming. Like, I really could say we could do a whole show, Jim, on, you know, movies are dead, long live movies, because how we're seeing them and consuming them is different. Yeah. But I bet you people watch more movies now than they ever did before. They're just not seeing them in the same way.
Yeah.
What do you think? And is Levac saying something about this in this film, or she really just, is it, you know, is that like more of a unintended subtext here? And that's for everyone in the chat too.
I mean, they do go see a movie in this, so it's not just rentals. I mean, and they're primarily rentals. That's sort of his main, the main feeder tube for Lawrence is.
Yeah, I think they go to a movie.
Yeah, what was it again? He tries to buy a copy of it later on with a staff discount. Is sort of an obsession of his, but. Yeah, so there's a little bit of that, but yeah, you get the sense that he's more watching it on his TV than anything. It's a change, I think, at that time. I think you're probably onto something. I hadn't actually thought about that aspect of it as somebody who's watched a heck of a lot of classics myself on television. I did ultimately see Jaws on the live screen when they brought it back. I think the convention center once when they played repertory, like older movies and stuff like that. But and I've seen Rear Window on the big screen too. That's another awesome one. But I think I think you're probably onto something. I hadn't really given it that much thought, but that's a good pickup. Like a lot of technical change. Again, there's like no cell phones in this movie, which was sort of refreshing. But I think it would be a different
DMG
film
makes a comment, says, it'll be interesting to see indie films 20 years from now. in they're looking back now. Are they going to be waxing poetic over the golden age of streaming?
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
That's a great point.
There's something else I wanted to mention just when you were talking about Lawrence's behavior and then you're talking about the sort of the psychological breakthroughs. I can't remember the word you
Catharsis.
Catharsis, yes. And it's interesting, and I had written down, and I hadn't noticed this the first time. I'd written down the phrase, "There are no terminal arguments in this movie."
Catharsis.
There's no terminal. I mean, he has a falling out with his friend, but for him and his mom, they both say pretty bad things to each other. Him more so than the mom. The moms are more defensive.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely a terrible most of the movie.
And she seems like a sweet woman that's, coping like he is with the death of her spouse.
Which makes me think Grace Randolph should be forced to watch this show just to go, oh, wow, that's one unlikable character that I can't stop watching.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, go back to that.
One.
Sorry, Jim.
No, but I was just going to say that there's no, it's a good point of this, that there isn't that sort of showbiz catharsis, is that they probably have screamed these words at each other before, and they will again, and it sort of doesn't affect, maybe it affects their relationship, but they're still mom and son. They still have moments of tenderness and moments of just like ferocious anger with each other. And it's that thing, maybe it's time that he does leave, because he does leave to go to school. He stays in a dorm, which isn't always the Canadian experience.
Yeah.
But there's that's, and even with him and Alana, they do drift apart because they're no longer working at the same place.
They're not even friends. They're barely friends. They're, oh, that's the woman I used to work for.
But there's a through line of that relationship that continues, and despite the fact that he got his coworker fired and that he's kind of a weird kid, and he's obviously going through things and making life challenging for her. Yeah. She's still kind enough to recognize the relationship and give him a hand and stuff. I have to say, she is one of my favorite characters I've seen almost all year. And it sort of reminded me, I don't know if, we've both worked in food service before, but she's that older waitress that says, hey, this kid needs some help. I can't tell you the number of, probably 3 or 4 women like her that I've known that when I appeared to be, young and dumb, that they were like, okay, Jimmy, come over, and then you sort of fall in love with them a little bit, and they guide you a little bit, and she hits all those cues perfectly. Like that, the older woman that's a little bit worldly, that helps you out, that's kind, and has a lot going on, and it's such a wonderful character, and she keeps surprising you. Like, things don't put her off. Lawrence doesn't thank her for the ride, so she goes, you're welcome, and he goes, yeah, sorry, thanks. But little things and bigger things, and she's just a great character, and really well played.
It's interesting. All the adults around him care for him, care about him, even if they don't like him. It is such a great moment of change. Like it is, in so many respects, it's a growing up movie. It is a slice of life, Bildungsroman, this is how he becomes a man film. But that all the adults, while they pressure him to step up and start behaving appropriately, like, hey, you're pulling, it's not playing anymore. At the same time, they still care for him, care about him. Yeah. They don't like him, but they recognize that he's still a child, not a toddler, but at a time where some sympathy can go a long way. even at the end where Alana, because I don't think they become friends there in that moment in the fast food joint. It looked like basically a Subway knockoff, Mr.
Yeah.
Sub. But they do. She's like, what the hell, kiddo? A little more advice from Mama Alana, without being a stereotype of the smoking. Like she is not at any time is she a stereotype.
No, and she's just the generosity of the character continues to sort of surprise you, and and it's such a neat, ultimately,
but can still lose her temper.
Yeah,
throw out those truth bombs. One of my favorite parts of the movie. That's right, you little shit.
Well, there's
time to get educated.
We haven't talked about the scene, the period.
If I could have, Jim, I would have been in the theater going. Sorry, we haven't talked about the scene.
Cinematheque. When Lawrence essentially gets reprimanded on his way to being fired for sleeping in the video store and not properly locking up when he left, and they have that industry guy, the corporate guy, who goes, Lawrence, if you stick with us, you'd have a career. This is in 2003. Yeah, the movie set in 2003. You'd have a career for 30 or 40 years in the film in the video store industry. And that's kind of that's a little bit. It's funny. There's a few of those jokes baked into it. That this thing's forever. You don't want to turn your back on it. And lo and behold, things changed a bit. Great scene though.
But also a great. Let's play the tape. Just a great character moment. Yeah, it really is. Okay, coming back to DMG, and this is a great question from DMG. He says, does he get a crush on Alana? And no, he doesn't. They never go there, or I don't think they did. Did they?
He says he sort of breaks down when things are going bad. You can't fire me. I'm in love with you, he says. But I don't
never
know
bought
how.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a genuine. And he goes to sort of hug her at one point, but I think that's just a reaction to that. Like it's him interpreting a situation in a weird way. Yeah. And it may be a different kind of, the Greek have what? Yeah. 12 or 40 different kinds of love or whatever.
This is agape love, not eros.
And I didn't get the sense of that at all. So
no, they didn't go into that, like where he gets all moony eyed. He's like, again, the moony eye he gets is I'm going to get a story. And it's like a movie. And he sits down and he is watching her. Yeah. This is such a great capture. Yeah. That right here, I'm pointing at it. Yes, the poster. Such a great capture of the thing. Jim, I do think we need to move forward. Anyway, great question though, DMG. I do think we need to move forward into final thoughts, and I also do want to talk about, before we wrap up, I do want to talk about that Rotten Tomatoes how rotten is Rotten Tomatoes. But before we do that, before we chat about that, before we get into that, let's get into some final thoughts here.
Sure.
All right. I'll kick it over to you, my friend.
I also wanted to highlight, besides the character of Alana, the mother, again, played by Krista Bridges. Great work. I think she's won or been nominated for a Genie Award, a Canadian Screen Award in the past. And, she does a great job of that sort of, that tenderness and that weariness and the love and the little bit of hate maybe for Lawrence. And she just does a great job. And at the same time, retaining that mum-like quality. So I think she deserves some credit as well. She's great, great role for her, and that's sort of why I think you and I go on often about strong women characters in films, because frankly makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like everybody is important, everybody counts, and if only half your cast is worthwhile talking about, then it's then you're sort of missing out a few things. But in this case, two great roles for two. Not surprisingly, Chandler Levac, a woman, makes some pretty strong women characters. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. And just two other little lines I had when he goes to Cineplex and he says, "What is it here? Do you serve little cups of espresso here?" And then the guy looks at him, the teenager looks at him. And then Alana says to him at one point, she says something surprising. And she goes, "Can you please make your face into another face?" But just little neat little notes and some good lines in there too. But yeah, just a great movie. I wonder if it's available on American Netflix. That's not always the case, but I hope it is, and I hope it gets some play. It's a real sweetheart of a movie, and I wish good things for it. And for Miss Levac, I'd be interested in seeing what she does next. So.
That's a great comment, Jim. Yeah, what is next, or is there another movie? I can't remember in the Q&A if she talked about it. Maybe she did, that there's another idea, because of course there's always another idea. But will we ever actually see her make another movie? Who knows? This could have been, which I would totally respect. It's like, no, I've done my bit. I'll go back to criticism because I like that. And I can say when somebody, well, you're criticizing because you haven't made it. It's like, let us go back into the file. There you go. Now, back to what I was saying about why your movie sucks. For myself, Jim, this one, you know what? There's always a couple of movies that stick with me. I think this is another one of them that'll stick with me. People are asking in the chat if we'd recommend it. It's absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
100%. You don't need to see or skip it. Yeah, I'd recommend this film, especially as it is about a kid having a hard time growing up, actually kind of growing up. Without that big cathartic moment, without a big, like everything does kind of, it falls apart and he has to rebuild. He's got to apologize. He's got to, there's no big victory for him. He gets none of the he doesn't make his movie. He gets fired from, his high school dream job. Doesn't get to go to the school he wants. It's a whole bunch of, it's really as much about him being forced to accept the reality of his life. And you don't actually see that a lot, in my opinion, in what are otherwise, like, what is Harry Potter? He grows to be the hero he was always meant to be, and always a nice guy through it. Most high school heroes like this aren't. They get the girl. They get certain things as proof of their victory, whereas here he loses it all, and his victory, if it's a victory, it's him accepting it and still being able to move forward. Yeah, how did you put it before, Jim? This movie is, in a way, it's let go of the path. It's about the goal. Yeah. And there are ways to not be a dick. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's and it ends on a sort of a nice, hopeful note too. So
it does. It has a nice.
Well done.
He does get to move forward. He just has to let go of it must be this way.
Yeah.
Which is actually what a lot of filmmakers and people want to get into film, or you got to let go of it's got to be this and then this and then this. You can have a plan, but except that the plan's going to change. Circumstances will dictate. at times. Exigent circumstances outside of your control.
Little Canadian note, I think, when the final scene when the girl comes in to introduce herself into the dorm room, he's sitting on his bed reading underneath a Steel Magnolias poster. I think he's reading the Apprenticeship of Diddy Kravitz, which is a Mordecai Richelieu Montreal novel. So that's kind of
one, of course, a very. He still is who he is.
Yes.
You know. DMG says, I love that the production company for this flick is VHS Forever. And then he asks, is there a difference between Lawrence being portrayed as on the spectrum versus just an Arrested Development perma-teen like Ryle Reynolds? Yeah, here's your rim shot there, buddy. More even. Listen, folks, let's take a quick scan through the thing. Love it. We should create our own ranking system of how many fines a film gets. Rob gives it 3 fines out of 5. It's a perfectly fine film. Where do we go? Matthew, you came too late. You've got a bunch of stuff that I don't, because we're wrapping up. But so good to see you, dude. DMG, so great to see you. Wait a sec, though. There's something he said. Oh, have we seen Tom Hardy replacing Mel Gibson in Mad Max Fury Road from 2014?
Of course.
Yes, we did.
Saw it in the theater, which has now become a badge of honor.
You and I saw it in the theater.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was when we were just talking about our little podcast idea.
Oh, that's right too.
You know? Here it is. He himself worked in a blockbuster Applecross from late 2007 to when it closed in late 2009.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's about that time,
Matthew, if you haven't seen the movie we are talking about, it's worth checking out. And be interesting. I would love to hear your opinion on it. After you, if you haven't seen it, love to get your opinion. Love to hear you, say something in the comments after we put the show up. All right, folks, we are going to wrap it up though. DMG, Matthew,
Jelly Duck.
Yeah, Jelly Duck 100. We once again, our chat spans the globe.
Literally.
All 4 hemispheres. I know that that adds up to 2 globes, but I think everybody knows what I mean. It's north and south,
3 continents.
east and west.
Yes.
That's
pretty good.
All right. On that note, folks, whoopsie. Thank you all very much for coming out. Really do appreciate it.
Good seeing you, Matt.
Please like and subscribe and check out what's going on over here. Good night, everybody.
See ya.